Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In this episode, we're continuing our coverage of the ongoing situation taking place between Russia and the West. Obviously, Russia, Ukraine, NATO, and the Western European nation states. So, additional information is coming in that I thought worth noting. So, as before, I talked about the deployment of a Marine brigade moving from Vladivostok, mostly by train, quite possibly by aircraft as well, in terms of the personnel. Then being deployed in a westerly direction, where they finally end up, it's very difficult to say for certain. The 155th Naval Infantry Brigade, and as I talked in the previous episode, I mentioned that these light forces could be utilized to seize control of the Baltic states if necessary. And I wanted to clarify something. I know in one of the comments it had mentioned that that one of the comments was they did not believe a naval infantry brigade could seize control of the Baltics. Well, that's not what I was saying, and I quite frankly I don't believe that a naval infantry brigade in their current force construct could seize any of the Baltic states. Again, a naval infantry brigade of a few battalions of naval infantry, some armor, some artillery, obviously would be very challenged in seizing control of any of the Baltic states, and let alone all three, is just outside the realm of possibility. Now, with that being said, multiple naval infantry brigades supported by Spetsnaz forces, Spetsnaz brigades supported by airborne forces of the Russian airborne forces, quite possibly multiple airborne divisions and brigades operating against the Baltics could in fact probably seize the Baltic states. And again, I'm talking about multiple airborne divisions, multiple Spetsnaz brigades, and multiple naval infantry brigades conducting an operation, and quite possibly also with elements of the National Guard, Russian National Guard as well, could probably seize control of the Baltic states, and obviously they could possibly be augmented by tanks from motorized rifle regiments, and obviously the tanks that are deployed with both airborne forces, as they are now utilizing tanks, and then the naval infantry as well. So there would be an element of heavy forces in terms of any movement on the Baltic states. But additional information coming in would indicate that no less than 3 large landing ships from the Northern Fleet has recently transported a unknown allotment of equipment to Kaliningrad. So what could that possibly mean? Well, in all likelihood, it is probably elements of this unit I talked about before, the 61st Naval Infantry Brigade. So obviously 3 ships. Each of the, if they're Rapuchas, they're probably carrying anywhere from 10 tanks and another 300 to 400 personnel. And then they could also carry about a dozen armored personnel carriers and some other trucks and equipment as well. Not a lot in terms of each ship, but three ships is probably going to transport a battalion sized element of tanks and armored fighting vehicles. While that is not an overly robust force, we would also see elements of the 61st Naval Infantry Brigade also flying into Kaliningrad as well, possibly on civilian air flights, disguised and very very difficult to tell what's actually being moved into Kaliningrad. And obviously they could also be moved in via military transport as well. So if we see the 61st Naval Infantry Brigade being deployed to Kaliningrad, which would then join the 336th Naval Infantry Brigade, you have a very robust force now of possibly two naval infantry brigades operating in Kaliningrad. And then obviously also there are the motorized regiments of the coastal defense forces. So again, the coastal forces, the motorized forces of the Northern Fleet and Baltic fleets are not naval infantry. They're just ground forces assigned to the Northern or Baltic fleets. And as you can see on the map here, this gives you kind of a construct. Now, this is a fairly new unit. They've taken some of these regiments that were originally assigned to Kaliningrad, and they've merged them to form the 18th Mechanized Division. And again, right now, in terms of maneuver regiments in Kaliningrad, you have the 11th Tank Regiment with 3 tank battalions and 1 mechanized infantry battalion. You then have this unit, the 79th Mechanized Regiment. Normally, that is also going to contain 1 tank battalion and 3 mechanized infantry battalions or motorized infantry battalions. And then you have this unit as well, the 7th Mechanized Regiment will be the third regiment of 3 mechanized battalions and 1 tank battalion as well. So, and obviously corps level assets of heavy artillery. So, and then compounding those motorized forces, you have what could be elements of 2 naval infantry brigades as well within Kaliningrad. So, obviously, in all probability, the mechanized infantry forces would probably be deployed in holding positions along the Polish border to quite possibly prevent a NATO or Polish move if the Russian Federation decide to make a move into Lithuania. And in all probability, the units that you would see move into Lithuania, you would probably see the 2 naval infantry brigades, 2 naval infantry brigades, not 1 naval infantry brigade, 2 naval infantry brigades. You would probably see elements of Spetsnaz formations from the GRU also have probably been deployed to Kaliningrad. You would also probably see a move to secure this border area between Lithuania and Poland to prevent any support from Polish forces moving into Lithuania. That is the Suwałki Gap. And you would probably see an armored formation blitz down and secure these roadways and prevent any possible move by Polish forces into Lithuania. You would also see, obviously, formations of Russian units in Belarus and possibly jointly with the Belarusian army as well, which, for all intents and purposes, is becoming an extension of the Russian army. In terms of they already possess the same sort of formations and command structure and equipment, and again, they would probably be utilized as well. But again, there seems to be at this point now what we're seeing is not just a buildup along the Ukrainian border, but we're also starting to see a shift and a movement and a positioning of forces that could indicate that the Russians are more covertly building a strategy in which they can make a move on the Baltics, and that would get really interesting very quickly in terms of how quickly this could spiral out of control, if in fact that is an option that that the Kremlin, that Putin has requested of the armed forces. And another tidbit of information coming out is it looks like the 1st Tank Army, which generally is positioned very close to Moscow. Obviously, many of these units have been redeployed closer to the Ukrainian border, but it would appear that the 6th Tank Brigade, and I'll have to find that. I believe it's over here. So it's the 6th Tank Brigade is with the 1st Tank Army, but it's stationed and normally assigned well east of Moscow. So apparently the 6th Tank Brigade, excuse me, is going to be converted to a tank division, and precisely what we're hearing is the 6th Tank Brigade could become the 47th Tank Division. So you would see the expanding of the 6th Tank Brigade. Now, would that include other motorized rifle brigades that would then merge with the 6th Tank Brigade and form the 47th Tank Division? Or could it be a mobilization in which we see newly formed units and quite literally an expansion of the current Russian ground forces? So again, very difficult to say. I mean, we could see the 6th Tank Brigade merge with the 27th Mechanized Brigade and become the 47th Tank Division. And then you would see an additional, quite possibly, a 3rd motorized brigade be brought from another location and then merged to create the 47th, or it could be a completely new unit and the 27th Brigade could remain independent. But very difficult to say at this point. So I guess the real question is are we seeing an actual expansion of the Russian ground forces? Could the Russian ground forces now number greater than 300,000? Generally speaking, right now, by all estimates, over the last year or two, the ground forces have numbered about 280 to 300,000 personnel. Now, could it possibly mean that we're seeing an expansion of those ground forces to create a force that I don't know, may number 300, 350, 360,000 personnel, or even greater? Again, hard to say at this point, but by all indications, based on the expansion of the divisional forces that we're seeing, that could very much be the possibility. Again, a lot of this stuff is state secret for the Russian Federation, so it's not information that is always released, so we don't always know the true force composition of the Russian Federation. But again, that is the news that's coming in now. We continue to watch the situation very closely, and we'll have more information as we get it. Have a good day, everybody.